I would like to welcome Robert Kennedy Jr. to the stage. Thank you. Let me turn that on. Here.
I'm really happy to be here. I apologize for my voice tonight. My wife and I have been watching the fires up here and watching what's been happening to this community. I've been up to this community many times. I know this community. I spoke here, I think, 6 weeks ago at the Heritage Festival, and I've been here many times before that. And our hearts really went out. It's a very, very special community. It has, I would say, a level of enlightenment in this community that is really unusual. And some of the questions that people have been asking here, I think, show that. And I feel like I know what you've been going through. My office and my law partner, we had offices at the World Trade Center, a block from the buildings that went down. We were kept out of our office for almost 2 months, and Kevin, when he went in, got very, very sick. We both knew many people who died in the World Trade Center, and Kevin's roommate, in fact, was from Sonoma and was killed in the World Trade Center explosion. And I wanted to come up here just to do whatever I can. I've spent a lot of time working on Puerto Rico and St. John's over the past couple of months. And I wanted to just come up here and make sure that I could do whatever I can do in the short term to make sure that people up here got access to the best advice on insurance, on their doctors, on all of these other issues in the short term. And that in the long term, to the extent that there's somebody at fault for this, and they ought to pay for it. And for all of my career, that's what I've been doing. I started out, many of you know me here, I started out working for commercial fishermen on the Hudson River whose livelihoods were destroyed by pollution. They were destroyed by a company that was externalizing its costs and internalizing the profits. The General Electric Company, which put my clients out of work, destroyed there. We have the oldest commercial fishery in North America on the Hudson. It's 350 years old. Many of the people I represent come from families that have been fishing the river continuously since Dutch colonial times. And they watched their livelihoods and their property values, their recreation. These were people who had little expectation that they'd ever see Yosemite or Yellowstone or the national parks. They didn't have the kind of resources to go on those vacations. And in 1966, Penn Central Railroad began vomiting oil out of a 4.5-foot pipe in the Croton-Harmon rail yard. The oil went up the river on the tides, it blackened the beaches, it made the shad taste of diesel. Their kids were getting sick. They couldn't sell the fish at the Fulton Fish Market in New York City. Their livelihoods were disrupted. At the same time, the General Electric Company was dumping PCBs into the upper river. Both of those actions were illegal. They weren't supposed to be doing it. And my clients were business people. Many of them came from generations, from 3 generations working the fishery on the Hudson. There was nothing wrong with their business model. Their business model got destroyed because a powerful company used political clout to escape its responsibility and to externalize their costs. Put their costs of bringing their product to market onto the backs of my clients. And their shareholders, General Electric shareholders, got rich. But they left behind in the Hudson Valley a $4.3 billion cleanup bill that nobody in the Hudson Valley can afford. And General Electric left New York State. And it left behind this legacy for us. And I lived with these families going through this. Most of my clients wanted to see their children fish the river. Many of them have been fishing it since Dutch colonial times. But those kids today are hanging sheetrock, or they're pouring asphalt, they're working on road crews because they can't be fishing the river anymore. Because although the Hudson is very rich today and we've stopped the pollution on the Hudson largely, the PCBs are still in those fish. And it's dangerous for people to eat, so it's illegal to sell the fish. So their livelihoods were destroyed, and I spent 30 years with those families, and I watched the impacts resonate through those communities and what it did to those communities. And I have a lot of compassion for communities that are going through environmental injuries like this, and that's why I've been involved in Puerto Rico and St. John's, and that's why I was involved with Katrina. And I represent today 7,000 clients who are, like you, environmental refugees in the South Carolina, or the Southern California gas leak down in Los Angeles, in the San Fernando Valley. So there were 10,000 people who were driven from their homes. And we represent 7,000 of them, a team of lawyers, California lawyers, and some of the outside lawyers who are part of our outfit. I know, we don't know. A couple of years ago, there was a fire up in Northern California, and originally they thought 2 kids had committed arson. And it turned out not to be true. And with fires like this, it's very, very difficult at first. It's a process to figure out who did what. There's a good chance that this occurred because of corporate negligence, because of a corporation that said it was going to do something with the money to clear the power lines, to fortify the towers, and that instead of doing that, they decided to pay dividends to their shareholders. And if they did that, that's what happens. That's just the pattern. I'm not saying it happened here. If it did happen here, we're going to find out about it, and we're going to prosecute them. And those of you who, who need representation or want representation, I would love to represent you on these cases. And I can guarantee you that I'm going to stay here, and we're going to stay here and figure out what happened. And in the meantime, any of you who need help with other issues, the issues that you need to readjust your life, you need to take care of yourself. That's the most important thing. And you need to try, despite everything that happened, to try to be grateful, because life is short for all of us. And we can't spend any moment on resentments or anger or, loss. And I've had a lot of tragedies, personal tragedies in my life. And one of the things that I learned from my mom, she said, people say to her, you went through all this stuff. Why doesn't it get you down? She said, everybody takes their licks. And if you let that stuff live in your head rent-free, people who did this, it's going to hurt your lives. And you need to, at this point, you need to pick up, put your lives back together, and keep walking and keep moving. But, leave it to us or people like us to make sure that you get remedies for the people who injured you. And that will happen, and it will happen, hopefully, with minimal inconvenience or cost to those of you who are here. What I would say to you, I cannot emphasize enough what these gentlemen said about evidence. Because in one case that we know of, a little video that was taken by a handheld cell phone was the difference between 0 verdict and a $15 million verdict. So if you have that video, if you have a video that shows something, make sure that you get it to us so that we can bring it back, so we can catalog it and archive it and use it when the time comes. And do your best to take down notes of anything that you remember, because the contemporaneous notes you write down today are much more valuable in court and something that you claim to remember 5 or 6 or even 10 years from now, you know, if it goes that far. I'll make sure you write stuff down, and you know, the best of luck to all of you. I don't want to hold you here anymore, but I want to make sure that all of you are taken care of and you get the proper advice. And we've really tried to bring the best people in California here today to advise you on the health effects, the psychiatric effects, and the insurance steps that you need to take care of yourself. So take care of yourself first. And then when the time comes, when we figure out what happened here, we will be here to take care of you. Thank you.
Mr. Kennedy, right now in Santa Rosa, there's an epidemic of gouging. And I'm going to talk about the rental market. All of us that have been in hotels, we're staying in this hotel, we're trying to find housing. The insurance companies are acting reasonable, but they're getting gouged themselves. And it's just incredible what we're seeing posted online, the arrogance of property managers. They're increasing rents by $1,000 a day. We would like to see perhaps your voice to the Attorney General, somebody to come here, investigate what's happening. We lost 6,500 homes in this community. A lot of people don't have all the insurance they need. They need places to live. Our first priority is to get people in a safe environment. There's people that are taking advantage of this, and I didn't think I would see it, but I've read it. This happens in all kinds of tragedies where people will take advantage. What's our best steps, and can you be a voice to this?
No, I have to tell you this. We had the exact same thing happen with SoCal Gas, where people were jacking up the price of the rental homes in the area where they knew that, you know, there was this sudden influx of refugees, and there were 10,000 people who were moved out of their homes, you know, in the San Fernando Valley, right on the border of Los Angeles. And that whole section of Los Angeles, rents in some cases quintupled. So, and we actually tried to do something which was, you know, the governor has the power when he declares a state of emergency to prevent price gouging. But in that case, they wouldn't do it. So I'm not confident that Governor Brown will do it in this case, but it's certainly something that we will bring to his attention.
Why wouldn't he? What political?
You know, I don't know. I think part of it is that it is a nightmare to administer.
But sir, there's gouging that's right on the internet that you'll see from one posting. People will see this.
But it's a nightmare to say within a certain radius of this, you know, of this place, we're going to freeze rents. And I'm not defending this. I'm saying it was something that, in the case of SoCal Gas, we could not persuade, even though it was absolutely necessary and justified, we could not persuade the governor's office to do it because they didn't want to administer it. They didn't want to start going house by house.
But that's a basic need of us as a citizen of the state.
And we will, you know, I will do my best to make sure to bring this to the governor's attention, but
Please,
he's the only one who has the power to do that.
With the San Fernando Valley situation, it was 10,000 people, but in an environment of 5 million people. Santa Rosa is different. People work here. They have to, their jobs are here. Think about that, 6,500 displaced homes and the families that have to find places to live here. And it's next to impossible for people to find anything of reasonable housing right now, and something's got to be done. If Governor Brown doesn't do something about it, you would think that's the most basic thing a governor would want to do. We need help.
I think that probably that's the best thing for us to do for all of us, to call or send letters, because I think if he gets, you know, all politicians respond to the public. And so I think, you know, I certainly will do my part of that, but I think it would be good if everybody contacted his office.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Social media too, tweet it, put it on Facebook. Governor Brown, we need you to do this. I'm gonna tweet it on my Twitter account tonight.
We need help.
We need to start, use social media, it's so strong. It's immediate, it gets to people. It'll influence politicians. Do it tonight.
That are renting or.
Hashtag gouging in Sonoma or
There's a
something.
lot of people
Yeah.
putting it out there that, don't gouge us,
Yeah.
or naming.
You need a shaming campaign.
Thank you.
I'm gonna do it tonight on my Twitter account. And I invite everyone here who's got a social account, media account, to do that. Contact your friends, have them do it, contact your family. You could get hundreds of thousands of people doing that by next week. If we all just contact everybody we know and tell them to do that. We can
The other thing is there's
together, we can do this.
maybe the Chamber of Commerce also here.
We can make a petition and send it to the governor.
Use the social media, it's so strong. It'll help us.
Yes.
I have a question which is probably on everybody's mind. Let's say if PG&E is found to be at fault in any way with any of these fires, and there's a lawsuit and they are found to be at fault and there's some kind of damages, what is there to prevent them from passing on all those costs to all of us customers, which I believe that they've done in the past with other disasters?
It depends why they did it. So the PUC is going to, they have to get permission from the PUC in order to raise rates. And if they went, and this other case that they had, they went to the PUC, they said, we want to raise rates in order to fortify our lines against fire. In other words, to make the poles more robust, to clean up the right of way. And you have to look in the past and see if they did that. And then if they got that money, they got the rate hike, they took that money, instead of doing the work, they did a distribution to their shareholders. In that case, the PUC is likely to say, you can't pass this on to the shareholders because, you can't pass it on to the consumers because they already paid for this once, and now your shareholders have to pay for it. So that's what we have to look for. And we will be looking for that. We will be doing depositions and figure that out. Thank you all for coming. Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to share some information and answer a few questions, if I may. My name is Corey LeVay. I'm from Sun Valley, Idaho. I've actually met you, Mr. Kennedy, up at the Wellness Festival in Sun Valley. I gave you a signed book from my friend that wrote a book about the sheep-eater Indians. But as to the questions that you have, specifically the heat, it's measured in BTUs, British thermal units. A forest fire is not a forest fire. It's not a forest fire where I'm from. We have softwoods. Here in this area, you have plenty of hardwoods, and that increases the heat of the fire. It's basically a blast furnace that everybody is subject to. It's not like a regular brush fire that's in San Diego. It's not the same as a forest fire in Idaho. It's a lot hotter. Besides that, in regards to the question about the electrical grid, what we've been working with is microgrid technology. You can use all sorts of other alternative ways besides relying on a massive electrical infrastructure that repeatedly fails. There's many, many options that you can use for microgrid technology, from coal to, I think thorium is a low-level radioactive material that can be utilized properly. And as for the information that I have to share, I'm a subcontractor working for PG&E. I work for Ore Industries. It also works for the group Phillips and Jordan out of Knoxville, Tennessee. and I've been in the field primarily in the Fountain Grove area. I drive to work every day and I do saw work. I'm a tree feller. I operate a chainsaw out in the field. And PG&E is not here to do any of us any favors. They've been ramrodding the project through as fast as possible to get the power back on because their first goal is to get profits rolling. Besides that, where I've been working in the field, we have been subject to not having wash stations. I do not have any portable restrooms for me to use where I work. People have been defecating on site out where your properties are. PG&E has not been providing any type of waste receptacles on these properties out there at all. I have been subject to retaliatory firing by bringing this up, and they've already been trying to cover it up. I've contacted the California Public Utilities Commission already. They have already been in contact with PG&E's lawyers. I was told I would receive a phone call back yesterday regarding the matter. I have heard stone cold silence. There's, like I said, there's no blue rooms out there, there's no hand washing stations, no eye washing stations. We do not have an evacuation route set up for any of the people working in the field, any of the sawmen. There's no evacuation route for any of the employees for PG&E. I've been told that if there is an emergency, we are to leave any and all people laying where they lie in the field and wait for first responders to arrive. But as you know, in these tight little narrow roads, first responders, according to the fire marshal, you have to have a direct route to the home to be able to get first responders there. That's the only reason why the home was allowed to be built in the first place, is that you have access by first responders. Where I'm working in the field, there's no access by first responders. I brought this up and I was brushed aside. I was told to learn my knots and get back to work.
Well, thank you. And we'd be happy to talk to you afterwards.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Robert Kennedy. Great job.